Hi everybody, my name is Melanie and welcome to my channel. I'm happy to have you here today. What you're going to be watching while I'll be ranting is me making a piece, a little drawing of one of my favorite Disney characters, Mulan. Now the Disney live action remake of Mulan has just come out last Friday. I haven't seen Mulan yet, and that is largely because the negative experiences I have made with the last three Disney live action movies, where I'm absolutely baffled at some of the creative choices that they're making with these films. I will get into some really unfair commentary about Mulan despite not having seen it yet, just because it's such a hot topic for me and I love Mulan so much. The three Disney live action remakes I will be talking about mostly is Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and Lion King. I think these three movies suffer from some things that are commonly accepted now for this type of blockbuster Western film. That's for one thing, bloat. All of them are longer than they have to be. The animated films are short, they're all around 90 minutes, which, one thing, back then, around the time that these were made, was the normal, perfectly accepted length for a movie. And also, these being animated films, time is a huge factor here. Something else that really ticked me off with Beauty and the Beast was the fact that they're trying to retcon minuscule details about the plot that I know has been a trend in recent years to point out small plot holes and act like that invalidates your entire picture, but the truth is, yes, these plot holes are there, but they don't take away from the film. My main gripe, however, with these movies is that Disney doesn't seem to understand how to successfully transform animation into live action, and that there's so many things that these animated films do, both as films and as animation, correctly, that make them successful, that they ignore or directly contradict with their live action remakes. One of these examples to me is aesthetic choices, by which I mean for the Disney animated films, the art style, the color composition, the backgrounds, the character designs, and their modern counterpart for the live action would be the set design, the costumes, again the color coding, the way that it's shot too. And while if you look at Lion King, if you look at Aladdin, if you look at Beauty and the Beast, these make different creative choices. The original animated films, they all have a very particular look and feel to them, and you can see that even though they have this underlying Disney animation philosophy, all of them also tried out something new that is particular to this one film. And if you look at the live action movies, and not just these three, but so many of them, I feel their aesthetic is garish. And it's the same across many of these films. With the three that we're looking at, the most obvious outlier is The Lion King, because it's set in such a natural environment as opposed to Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. But if you look at Beauty and the Beast, if you look at Aladdin, if you look at Cinderella, if you look at Maleficent, these films are a lot to look at. Sometimes I feel it's more successful, like Cinderella is very opulent in its production and costume design, but it feels like it wasn't done with quite such a heavy hand. But Aladdin is a very much an onslaught of visual things happening, and the same goes for Beauty and the Beast. The other thing that I think they are struggling with translating their animation to live action is the point of making them in an interesting way. If you're an artist, if you're training to be an artist, like I am training to be an artist, you know how huge these topics of composition, of gesture, of animation, of movement, of being able to direct the eye in a purposeful way is to animation. And you know that these Disney animators, they have been trained in this as well, and they understand it. Look at scenes like the Belle, Beauty and the Beast opening scene. Look at Prince Ali. Look at I Just Can't Wait to Be King. These are animated in such a vivacious manner, in such interesting color palettes. Be Our Guest comes to mind. That all the knowledge of these animators, these artists, into how to make visually engaging animation, you see, went into these. And then you look at the live action remake, they're not shot in an interesting way. Even though we're talking about 3 completely different directors here, all of them make very similar choices, which leads to the films feeling stale, and they don't have a lot of movement. There's not a lot of action in the background. The most obvious example is, I feel, Belle in the live action remake. The song, not the character. It's also unrealistic, despite these being actual people on the screen. They don't move, they don't do something interesting. It's just shot for shot, Belle walking past these unengaged people. It's interesting that they don't care enough to make all the creative choices for the live action films that they made for the animated films, where it's so obvious that so much planning went into them. Finally, I have one particular gripe with The Lion King, which I think is the most baffling example of Disney getting something wrong, which they should have so obviously gotten right. And that's The Lion King remake has one underlying premise. And the one underlying premise is, we're going to make this look photorealistic, which is a thing you can do. But the old Lion King works because of its story. The old Lion King is based on a Shakespeare play. It's dramatic. It has murder and deceit and love and tragic death. And you care about this because you care about the characters on the screen, because you can see their emotions. You feel with them as they are emoting to these dramatic things that keep happening to them. Who doesn't remember the scene of the stampede and watching the pure terror on Simba's face? And he was able to convey this pure terror because he was designed in such a fashion that he was not photorealistic, but that the artists behind this combined his animal lion features with human features that allowed us to read his emotions. Eyebrows, eyes, mouth, all of this falls flat in the new Lion King. It's not there. So I feel the film suffers a lot from this basic idea to make the Lion King realistic. Like I said, it's a thing you can do, but it contradicts so many other points of the original movie that you should understand when you think this whole thing through, that many parts of your movie are going to suffer from it being more realistic than it was before. Now, all of this brings me to my last point, which I said before I realize is kind of unfair, but I also care about it so much, so I wanted to get it off my chest. The trailers I watched for Mulan 2020 and the reviews I've watched and read, they all point to the fact that they made the movie more realistic in some aspects and then added a bunch of supernatural stuff where you're like, why? And the most prominent being that Mulan is some type of superhero now, which I personally hate, because I think the best thing about Mulan 1998 is the character Mulan. The basic premise of the original Mulan is the most basic feminist statement that women are equal to men and should be treated as such. They're not better, they're not worse, they can do the same shit as men can do, and if they want to, let them do it. And be nice to them. Why is Mulan in 2020 a superhero? Why is she bound to excel everyone at the army camp just by her God-given talent? This directly contradicts the main point of the movie, that she's a regular person who's successful and that she deserves to be treated with respect. For the future, I kind of hope that they will stop making these live action remakes. I realize this is unrealistic because they have been making a shit ton of money, but ultimately I feel they're regressive, they're conservative, they're not bringing anything new to the table. If you love any of these films, all of them, please let me know why. I'd be super interested in hearing a different viewpoint than mine. I would also love if you told me that I'm completely wrong about Mulan and I need to go watch it, and I will if you can give me hope about its message. Next time around, I hope I can be a bit more positive. My original intent was to draw a picture of something that I loved and talk about why it's great, which I kind of only did here and there today with Mulan. But the next time around, I want to be a lot more positive. So for now, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me rant, and have a great day. Bye.